ladies and gents, while we're here, we'll get started. So coming into our set position, so we want a nice strong base to move from. We want our heels directly below our hips, ideally all 10 toes pointing forwards, and then just wiggle your knees a little, and then just allow them to stay soft and relaxed. Lengthen up through your spine, so you're going to breathe in from the base of your spine all the way up to the crown of your head, and then you just breathe out gently as your chin tucks in. And if your chin and your head tend to poke forward, draw your chin gently back in towards your throat, so you're aligning your ears and your shoulders. So from here, our pelvic tilts, your hip bones, I'm just going to gently point up towards the ceiling, and then down towards the floor. So we're going to try and use our out breath as we tuck, and our in breath as we release. So you want to feel like your tailbone almost scoops under, and that flattens and lengthens your lower back. And as your hip bones point down, just brings that curve and that movement into our lower back. So as you're rolling through your lower back, you're trying to keep your upper back nice and still, keeping the ribs softened down towards the hips, but you're also keeping your chest open. So I don't want you to feel like you're pulling your ribs down and pulling your shoulders forward. With your shoulders held back, so you've got that little connection between your shoulder blades. And then once you've done a couple more here, we can get some more movement into our shoulders. We settle midway between those 2 points, so our hip bones are forward, tailbone is tucked, and knees are still soft. And then a little breath in, shoulders just lift. Now when you're lifting your shoulders, you're trying not to lift your rib cage. So the ribs are gently drawing down towards the hips, and you're not allowing the ribs to flare as the shoulders move. And this can be a really, really small movement for some people, and it's more important to keep the ribs still and encourage the movement around the shoulders. And also release a bit of tension at the top of the shoulders. Okay, let's do one more circle. And as we go into our last circle, that places in our set position, which is going to sway from side to side. So your weight comes to the edge of your right foot and then over to your left foot. Now as you're swaying from side to side, you're trying to keep even space between your ribs and your hips. So you don't want your ribs to collapse down to the side. It's not a side bend. You're constantly pulling up through the crown of the head and keeping the chin gently tucked in. Nice and open across the collarbones. And then as we sway the next time to our right, you're just going to lift your left heel so that the weight comes into your right foot, and then place the foot down, little sway, and then your right heel lifts. You're trying to keep the pelvis still as you lift your heel. So you don't want to feel that when you sway across and lift your heel, your hips drop to the side. Then once you feel your hips are staying level, you can progress a little bit further. You can just allow the foot to lift off the floor. And again, aware that you're still keeping your neutral spine. So you don't feel like your knee lifts and your back rounds. So if that's happening, just don't lift the knee as high. And try and use your out breath as you lift your knee. Little breath in as you come down, and out breath with the lift. Relax the standing knee. And then let's open the hip. So at the top here, you're just going to gently bring the knee out to the side, into the centre, then your foot down, your little sway, left heel lifts, knee if you can. And again, if you're not lifting the foot off the floor, that's fine. You can still get that movement through the hip by just keeping your toe rested and turning the knee out to the side. Just bringing your focus back to your hip bones, so when you bring the knee out to the side, you still want your hip bones to stay facing forward. Then we can layer in the arms, keeping the shoulder blades down. Just opening with the arms and the hip. And there's that little sway so your weight shifts. Belly draws in. Don't let the ribs flare. And then softly down. Let's just do that once more on each side. Really focusing on the shoulders now. You're trying to maintain as much space between your ears and your shoulders as you can. Our last one here. And then we're going to rest in the centre. We're going to come into our squat, so we're going to take our feet just a little bit wider than our hips. Again, we're in our neutral spine. And we're just going to do a monkey squat, so your hands slide to your knees, your back staying long, and then pushing through the heels. So we breathe in to ease back, and we breathe out to come forwards. Now don't go too deep at first, just checking that your knees track in line with your toes. Your hips move back first, and you push through both heels as you rise. Try not to allow the shoulders to round as you come forward. So we've still got that connection into our mid back and our upper back. And then we're going to add in single arm floats. So we hold our squat a little bit longer at the bottom. We're going to float the arm to shoulder height, down to the thigh, the opposite arm lifts, down to the thigh, and then push through both heels. Again, we're going to breathe in, out with the lift, breath into lower, and again, out with the lift, and a soft breath in, and then push through both heels. Just check the hips, slide back. Now when the arm lifts, try not to lift the whole shoulder. You've got that stability by drawing the shoulder blade down to the back of the ribs and keeping the shoulders as still as you comfortably can as you bring the arms forward. Then we're going to bring a little bit of focus into some heel raises. So let's forget the arms for now. As you come into your squat, with your tailbone tucked under, just lift your right heel, then your left heel, and then push through both heels to rise. Once more, breathing in, out with the lift, into lower, out to rise, into lower, and breathe out with the lift. Now the opposite arm. So we're going to add in our arm float. As your right heel lifts, your left arm floats, and then your left heel and your right arm. Both heels down, squeeze into the bottom. Aware again of your upper body posture, your back staying nice and long, shoulders not rising up towards the ears, and then still just check your chin is tucked in. You know, sometimes you want to look at the screen, but it puts our neck in this position. We want to give that length into the neck. Again, nice and slow, so the hips are staying centered and still. And as you keep gently tucking under the tailbone, that's going to keep our lower abdominals engaged, and that's going to help to keep our neutral spine. Let's do that one more time. And then from here, we can progress a little bit further. And we're just going to do 4 of them. So stay with single heels and single arms if you want. Or at the bottom, we're going to lift both arms, both heels, come down, and we lift again. Heels down, and push through the heels to rise. So again, you don't have to lift the heels, you don't even have to lift the arms. You can stay with that first monkey squat that we did at the beginning. You should feel the thighs starting to warm up. Tailbone under, ears still in line with the shoulders, and then pushing up through the heels. One last time. And then we're going to progress into single leg squats this time. So from the top, you're going to bring your feet narrow so they're back underneath your hips. What we're going to do is start with our right leg, which is going to slide the leg forward, sit the hips back, and then pull your foot back underneath your hips. Then your left foot sliding forward, and then back underneath the hips. The breath in through the nose, and then out through the mouth. If you want to focus on just your legs, hands can stay on the hips, and you're feeling that your hips stay really level as you come into your squat. Now you can let the foot hover off the ground, or you can keep your foot lightly touching. And we're moving slowly. So again, we're working longer to create that stability. And then we're going to add on a little bit of work for our balance. So your last one on your left hand side. And now we're going to add in some arm and leg movement if you want to. You're going to hold here. You're going to open your right leg, your left arm, into the centre, and then push it through the heel. So your left foot slides forward, slides out to the side, and as you're moving the arm and the leg, you're trying to keep a really strong connection into your core. So there's no movement through the position of your body. And if you don't want to go into the squat, it's simple. You can just slide your leg forward. You can still slide it out to the side and then back into the centre. And you're just alternating sides. If you're feeling fine, you can go a little deeper into your squat. And after this one, we've only got one more on each side. Feel your hips move back. And then this is your last one. So you've worked evenly, hopefully, on both sides. Then you can have a rest in the middle. So we're going to come into our tandem stance. If you'd like to bring your right foot in front of your left, If that makes you feel too wobbly, just leave a little space between your feet. But you don't want to be in a position where you can just stand there comfortably all day. You want to feel that you're challenging your deeper muscles to keep that stability through your hips. So again, when you're ready, soften your knees, tuck under with the bottom, and lengthen up through the spine. You're going to just turn your palms up to the ceiling. We're going to take a breath in, and with our out breath, come into a dumb waiter. Your elbows stay at 90 degrees, and they stay under your shoulders, so you don't want the elbows to come away from your ribs. When you're drawing the arms back, try not to push the rib cage forward. So you don't want to change the position of your spine. You're using your core muscles to lock that position in. Keeping the weight even in both feet. And then we can turn the head if we want to. So you can turn your head over to the right, into the centre, and then over to the left. And again, we've got that sensation of the shoulder blades almost moving inwards towards the spine. And you're squeezing the shoulder blades to create that movement of the arms. Once more each way. And then with your last one here, without the wobbles, we're going to come in centre, float the hands down, and change your other feet. So it's your left foot in front this time. Slightly different exercise. Tucking under with your tailbone, we're going to find some rotation. So you're going to float both arms to shoulder height. First option is a bow and arrow arm. So your elbow just slides past the rib. Your hips are staying square to the front. Both knees relaxed. You can keep your head forward, or you can turn the head. Now you don't even have to bend your elbow, you can keep the arm long. So we get a bigger stretch across the shoulder. Breathing in as you open, and then breathing out when you close. Again, keep the chin slightly nodded in, so your ears still stay in line with the shoulders as the arm draws back. Try not to sit into the back leg. Try and keep the weight even through both feet. And just one more on each side. So now we've got the legs warmed up and we've got that rotation into our spine. We'll add that into a little lunge. We're going to start small. So your feet under your hips. We're going to step forward for our lunge and we're going to lift both arms. Back knee bends and your tailbone is tucked. And you're just going to draw your right arm back. And then arms come back in line with your shoulders and step your feet back. Then your left foot coming forward, sink into the back knee and pull your left arm back. So if you've got knee issues, you might be happy to stay with a smaller step. The main thing is that as you turn, your hips stay nice and still. So you can give your bottom a little bit more of a squeeze. And then if you're feeling ready, just take your step a little bit longer. Tuck under with the tailbone. We start to get a stretch then in the hip as we come down into our lunge. Front knee, gently pressing out towards the little toe. And again, you don't have to bend the elbows. A little bit more resistance by keeping the arm nice and long. And not wobbling. So you want to press down through that front heel. Press out with the knee. Give the bottom a squeeze as you turn. And then a strong push back so your feet land under your hips. Breathe in to lower. Breathe out to close. I've got the breath the wrong way around. We're going to breathe in as we step forward. We're going to breathe out to open. Breath into the centre and then breathe out to push back. That makes so much more sense. And again, if you're fairly new with Pilates, don't worry about breathing. Just keep breathing. Checking on that front knee, try not to allow it to collapse inwards. So we're trying to make sure the muscles through the outer thighs keep working. That helps to stabilise the knee and the hips. One more time. And then we rest in the centre. Okay, we're going to work our way down to the mat. And we're going to do a few roll downs first. So what we're going to do from here, in set position, you must keep your knees soft and a little tuck under with the bottom. All we're going to do to begin with is bring our chin down towards our chest. Keep the shoulders drawn down and just allow your head to roll forward. And then again, rolling back so the head lifts. So don't allow the back to round, chin tucks in. You should feel a nice big stretch across the top of the shoulders and right down to the back of the neck. Pull the shoulder blades down away from the ears like you're trying to reach your ankles. Keep reaching to your ankles as you tuck in your chin. And then reset back into the centre. We go a little further if you feel ready. So we roll about a third of the way down, just feeling the movement come to our mid-back. And then we keep the chin tucked in, and then we reset and pull the shoulders down. Breathe in when you're ready. And then breathe out to rise. So that's your first two options. If you feel comfortable, from the roll through the upper back to your mid-back, we then continue to roll through the spine. Let each vertebrae come forward one than the next. Let the arms hang. Press through the heels. Tuck under your tailbone as soon as you can. Keep the chin tucked in, and then roll the shoulders back and down with lots of breath. So again, slowly breathing in. Knees are soft, weight in both heels. Pause when you come as deep as it feels right for you. And then breathe out slowly. Just feel the restacking of the spine. And that just helps get lots of movement through each individual vertebrae, which we're going to work on later as we come to our bridges. And just remember this rolling sensation. One vertebrae, then the next. Now we're going to work our way down to the floor. If you find it difficult coming down this way, come down the best way you comfortably can. We're going to roll down. We're going to allow the knees to bend a little bit more and bring your hands to the floor. Gently walk your hands forward. Don't let the hips rock. Hands under your shoulders and bring your knees down on the ground. From here, a little bit of core work for our lower abdominals. Hands are shoulder width apart. Your chin is tucked in. And I want you to push yourself away from the floor to strengthen the stability muscles. And when you push away from the floor and lift up into your shoulders, I don't want you to round your upper back. What we're looking for is that length through the upper back. And as you push away, you want to feel your shoulder blades sitting onto the back of your ribs. Now you can either stay on the tops of your toes, or you can tuck your toes under. We're going to take a breath in to prepare, keeping our neutral spine. We're going to breathe out and lift the knees for 4, 3, 2, 1, and then rest. When you're ready, we're going to lift again with the out breath for 4, 3, 2, 1, release the knees. Pull the shoulder blades back, push away from the floor, then let the knees just hover an inch off the ground. And not only is this starting to engage our lower abdominals, it's also working on that stability through our shoulders. Now from here, you can stay with that knee lift, or once you come into your knee lift, you can step your right leg back, in, and then lower. So we lift and hold, we straighten one leg, the knee comes back to a hover, and then we ease down. And again, if you find it difficult on your wrists, you can either put a towel under the wrist, so again, it just doesn't make that angle of the wrist as sharp. Or if you're really struggling on the wrists, you can bring your elbows down to the floor, making sure the shoulders are sat directly over the elbows, whichever position you're in. If you need to rest at any point, do take a rest. But let's try and go for another one on each side. Slow, controlled movement with lots of stability. And then as you bring your knees down, you can flatten your feet, pull the hips back and tuck under your tailbone, so you're almost pulling your spine into that cat position. Then you can walk your hands forward and let your ears come down between your shoulders as much as feels right for you. And then see if you can gently walk your fingertips a little further forward. Okay, we're going to all come up to centre, and then we're going to lower ourselves all the way down. So take your knees back, bend your elbows, and lower down. Check my head still there. Okay, in this position, we're just going to work on some glute work first of all. You want your feet out straight, so you're on the tops of your toes. You can allow your head to rest in your hands, or you can just let the hands come down by your thighs with your palms upwards. Now the chin is nodded in, your shoulders are drawing down to the back of the ribs, and you're drawing your tailbone towards your heels. So you've got that sensation that your belly button is just slightly lifted off the floor, and that's what you've got to maintain. Now we're going to lift our right knee, so you're going to squeeze the knee off the floor, and then you're going to lift a straight leg, and then you're going to lower your foot, and then relax your knee. And again, left knee, squeeze the bottom to lift a straight leg. And as you're lifting your leg, you're just being aware that you're not forcing your belly back in towards the ground. So you can imagine you've got a little egg underneath your belly button. And as you lift your leg, you're trying not to crush your egg. Now there is only about 15 degrees of movement through the hip, so if you lift your leg any higher, your lower back will arch and we've lost that core connection and stability. So less is definitely more on this one. And I want you to feel that when you lift your leg, you're having to squeeze the bottom. Don't let the knee bend. So when you lift the knee and engage the front of your thigh, it helps to keep the leg straight. And then again, you've got to squeeze through the bottom to lift the leg off the floor. Okay, just one more on your left leg. And then we shall let the legs have a rest. We're still going to keep our neutral spine, with our tailbone drawn down and our belly lifted. Now your option here is to start with your elbows out in line with your shoulders. You're going to lift the head and one arm, so your arms parallel to the ground, and then just simply lowering back down. You're going to breathe out with your lift. And again, it's not a very big lift because we're lifting through our upper back and we're trying to keep neutral in our lower back. So if you feel that when you lift, your back arches and you squash your egg, then don't quite lift as high. Sometimes that lower back always wants to take over, so it's trying to stop the lower back taking over that movement and keeping the work through the upper back. Now from here, a little bit harder is to bring both hands to your head, draw the shoulder blades back and down, and as you breathe out, you're going to lift through the chest, and then a breath in as you ease down. Shoulder blades again, still drawing down to the back of the ribs, and you're drawing your tailbone down towards your heels. Now from here, your option when you lift is to extend the arm. So you can lift and hold here, just reach the arm out to the side, back into the centre, and then lower down. If the extra movement is a little too much, just stay with that first movement. Remember, you can work with one arm at a time, making sure your fingertips stay facing forward and your elbow stays in line with your shoulder. Let's just do that once more on each side. And then we're going to give the lower back a little release. So you just need to push yourself up from the ground. Your hands come right by your ribs and squeeze the elbows in, and then push up off the floor and just slide your hips back to your heels. So you're just taking the spine in the opposite position to which we've just been working in. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, just going to push the hips a little further back if it feels okay. Maybe a little bit more of a tilt, that'll be better. And then we're going to come back down and we're going to work all those muscles together. So you're going to come forward, you're going to lower yourself back to the ground by bending the elbows, keeping the tummy nice and strong. Now from here, either elbows in line with shoulders, we're going to work with the opposite arm and the opposite leg. Tailbone to heel, breath in, and then out with the lift, and eye gaze down to the ground. So you have to work a little bit harder now, because when you're lifting the opposite arm and the leg, your belly will want to push into the mat. So you're trying to keep that little bit of resistance, not forcing your tummy into the floor. And again from there, you can add the arm extension. Pull the shoulder blades down to the back of the ribs. And just notice that your hips don't rock from side to side. So you should almost feel where your hip bones are into the floor, and you feel that when you lift one leg, the hips don't rock. So there's no change of pressure through the hips. Constantly feel those shoulder blades sliding right down to the back of the ribs. Perfect. Good to see everyone's got their eye gaze down. Keep the chin tucked in so you've got that lengthened feeling through the back of the neck. We're going to finish off with 4, and you can have the option to extend with both arms twice. So you're going to lift the top, you can open, keep the shoulder blades down as the hands come in, open again, and then gently lower down. Out breath with a lift. Breathe in, open the arms, breathe out to close, breath in to open, out to close, and a breath in to release. 2 more, out with a lift. Tailbone down to the heels, and every time you open the arms, feel the shoulder blades pull down to the back of the ribs just a little bit more. 1 last time. And then just easing down very gently. Hands come back into the ribs, squeeze the elbows in, give yourself a nice big push up off the ground, and we're going to stay in the middle this time for a cat stretch. For your cat stretch, you're going to start from your tailbone, so it tucks under, just round through the lower back, draw the belly to the spine, tuck in the chin and look to your thighs. And then you're going to reverse, take the tummy down, and just let the chest come forwards. And again, let's do a couple more there. I'm just going to put a little move in now that we're doing pure stretch, which everyone seems to love. And it just feels really nice on your lower back. So we're going to come midway between those 2 points and stay in this neutral spine. Again, push away from the floor, but don't round the upper back. Keep the length. All you're going to do is wiggle your hips from side to side. So your hip slides up towards your rib, and you should feel the opposite side gets a nice deep stretch in that lower back area. And as you're just gently moving through the hips, you're trying to keep the upper body nice and still, shoulders nice and grounded, and you can start to look over your head and look towards the hip. Try and use the out breath as you push the hips to the side, and in breath to come into the middle. And just 1 more each side. And that's just a nice feeling up of the back. And then rest in here. Come back onto your heels. We're going to bring our feet forward when you're ready, and we're going to work through bridges, and we're going to start with that mobility part through the spine first. So as we lie back, we want the feet hip distance apart. You're going to bring your heels quite close to your bottom, so your ankles are below your knees, and again that takes it out of the hamstrings doing the work, and we aim to keep the work in our glutes. So your hands rest by your thighs. You're going to nod the chin in and lengthen the back of your neck, and just rock your pelvis a couple of times and find a neutral position, so your head lights up to the ceiling to begin with. So from here, you've got that little space between your lower back and your mat. You're going to take a breath in through your nose, and as you breathe out, you're going to draw the belly button down towards the spine, and the breath in to the centre. So you get that feeling that your hip bones point up to your head, your lower back goes into what we call imprint, and then back into neutral. Trying to keep the ribs as still as possible. So you almost feel like you're drawing your pubic bone up towards your rib cage, and then you're pressing your tailbone back down to the floor. Let's do that once more, and then we're going to roll just a little bit higher this time. So once you've tilted your headlights towards your head, you're going to allow your bottom to lift, you're going to roll to your first rib, and as you lower down, you're going to try and come back through your imprint, so your lower back comes to the floor, and then you go back into your neutral position. So again, with the out breath, hip bones tilt, making sure the knees don't flare, and you just come into your first rib. And you're trying to place each vertebrae down as individually as you can. Let's do 2 more just to our first rib. So we're just trying to encourage as much movement through the lower back as we can before we progress any further. Relax through the shoulders and keep the chin nodded in. And then from here, we get to roll a little bit higher. Make sure the chin stays tucked in so the head doesn't tilt back. Breathe in to prepare. And again, you're going to breathe out to roll, vertebrae by vertebrae. Come roughly up to your shoulder blades, brow strap area, taking a breath in. And then use the out breath, work down through your mid-back, through your imprint, and then bring your tailbone down to the floor. Breathe out through your mouth. Keep slowly breathing out as you rise to the top. Give the bottom a little squeeze here as you take a breath in. And then again, using the out breath to roll back down. And this is what we call segmental control. We're getting that movement through each individual vertebrae. you might feel that you've got 2 or 3 vertebrae almost land down together. So just take your time and try and work through those areas the best you can. And over time we'll get a little bit more freedom through the spine. Okay, this time we're going to come up to the top. We're going to hold the hips in that top position and we're going to come into heel raises. So you're going to lift your right heel without letting the hips rock. Then your left heel, heel down, and then you're going to roll all the way back down through your spine. Let's do that again. We breathe out as we roll, knees in line with hips at the top, and then hips, shoulders, knees in line here. Lift the heel without letting the hips rock. And you're keeping a constant squeeze in the bottom to keep the stability through the hips. Now you've got the hands on the floor, which helps. You can place your hands across your chest, and then from there you're not using your hands to help with your balance. You've got to keep squeezing the bottom to stop the hips rocking. And again, don't rush the movements, nice and slow. Because what we're aiming to do is keep the stability muscles switched on and working all the way through. And if we rush, we end up working with momentum and losing control. Perfect. Let's do one more then. Still rolling through each vertebrae on the way down. Still feeling the roll on the way up. And then adding the heel raise. Now we're just going to forget the heels for a second. You're going to bring both arms up over your shoulders. Your palms facing in, your shoulder blades pulled down. We breathe in at the bottom. When you're ready, you're going to breathe out to rise to the top of your bridge, squeeze the bottom and keep the ribs engaged towards your hips. We're going to scissor both arms. One reaches overhead, one reaches to the ankle, and then just changing direction of the arms, keeping the chin nodded in, and then roll down through each vertebrae. Find the imprint before you go into neutral. And you'll feel that when you go through the imprint first, there's a lot more work for your lower abdominals to do. Now try and make the arms nice and long. If you feel the ribs are flaring when you take the arm back overhead, just don't take the arm as far, but again work on keeping the arms straight. Still aware that your knees are in line with your hips. Weight even through both feet. And then you've probably guessed, we're going to add the heels with the arms. We're going to stay with that same arm pattern. So this time when you come to the top, into your strong set position, shoulders pressing into the floor, scissor the arms, taking your right arm back, and just lift your left heel so the weight goes into your right foot. Then come back into the centre. Left arm goes back and your right heel lifts. Into the centre, heels down and roll back through the spine. We're just going to work with another 4. So again, you've got lots of options there. If you feel just the bridge is enough for you and you're enjoying the mobilisation of your spine because it feels really nice, then just stay with that. If you feel you want to challenge those deeper muscles, squeeze the bottom. Try to avoid the hips rocking. Move slowly and keep stability all the way through. Each vertebrae down, one then the next. Tuck under with the tailbone and then place your bottom down. One last time. Breathe in as you open the arms and lift the heel. Breathe out to come back to the centre. Breathe in through the nose. And now breathe out through your mouth. And take a breath in and roll all the way down. Bring your hands down to your hip bones. So we're looking at stability now to our left leg and mobility to our right. You have a glass of water balanced on your left knee and it's full to the brim. Your job is not to spill a drop of water. So we're going to keep our left knee still. We're going to make sure we're in our neutral spine and our headlights are pointing up and we've got that little space here. Now, with the fingers on the hips, you're going to allow your right knee to roll down to the floor, keeping your left knee perfectly still. Then you're going to breathe out, draw the abdominals in and bring the knee back into centre. The hard bit is keeping the left knee still as you do this. You might feel as your right knee rolls, your hips want to roll with the knee. So almost going to super glue your bottom to the ground. You're going to let the movement come through the hip socket. Still keeping the left knee as still as possible. And we're going to start to really use our tummy muscles to pull the knee back in. So as you breathe in, let the knee lower, take a pause, start to breathe out through your mouth and keep breathing out through your mouth until the knee comes back into the centre. And then you should feel a lot more control through your abdominals. You're not allowing your lower back to lift. And we're going to do 4 more on this side. Breathe in, try and take it a little bit deeper, but keep squashing your left buttock, down towards the ground. You can imagine you've got a big blob of blue tack underneath your bottom. You're sticking it down to the floor. And you're trying to keep that pressure on that blue tack as your leg lowers. 1 more time. Slow breath in as you ease down. Pause at the bottom. Breathe out through the mouth and pull the knee back into the centre. And changing legs. So your glass of water is now on your right knee. Hopefully still full to the brim. Level up your pelvis, find your neutral, relax your shoulders, and just tuck in the chin again. When you're ready, your left knee starts to lower. Breathing in on the way down, you're going to pause, and as you breathe out, the abdominals draw in, and what you're doing then with your out breath, you're engaging your core. So you've got a nice strong foundation for the leg to move with. If you don't have a strong core connection, you'll feel the whole back lifts, and you'll lay there thinking, well, this is not doing very much. But the more you keep that right buttock pressed down and keep the pelvis still, again, you're going to increase the mobility around your left hip and the stability around your right hip. Got that the right way around. Breathe in through the nose, take a little pause at the bottom, and then breathe out when you're ready to lift. So it's all about keeping stability from the crown of your head all the way to your tailbone, not letting anything else move apart from the knee rolling to the side, and then that strong out breath to come back into the centre. Still keeping the right leg as still as you possibly can. And feel that you're engaging your core as you pull the leg back in. So you're making your foundation really strong. So the muscles on the inner thighs have got something strong to pull against as it brings the knee back into the middle. Again, the in breath as you ease it down, and the out breath with the lift. Let's do that 1 more time. And our next exercise is going to really focus on our breath as well. So we start to feel the difference using that out breath makes. You're going to bring your feet together. You're going to let your hands just sit on your ribs. So we're looking at keeping our ribs and above still. So the ribs are anchored, shoulders are down into the floor, and chin still tucked in. Now the edge of your feet are super glued together. We're going to breathe in, let both knees roll to the side without letting your ribs lift. And now you're going to breathe out and bring the knees back into the middle. The legs go the opposite way this time. Breathing in to ease down, and then breathing out to come back in. So your knees are together, your feet are together, and you're keeping a little bit of squeeze on your inner thighs. When you roll to your right, your left foot lifts off the floor, and then use the out breath to use the tummy muscles, bringing the knees back into the centre. Again, slow breath in as you ease to the opposite side, and the out breath to come back in. Now you can keep your feet on the floor, or you can bring your knees up into tabletop position, and as you roll from side to side, you're still keeping your ribs down, your chin tucked in, and your shoulders anchored to the floor. You can create a little bit more stability in your shoulders by taking the arms out wide and still almost corkscrewing your shoulder blades into the spine. Try and breathe in slowly as the knees lower down. Feel the stretch between the ribs and the hips, and then breathe out to come back into the middle. And again, it's not how far you can go, it's how far you can go while keeping your rib cage perfectly still. So we really get the work in the muscles between the ribs and the hips. They're lengthening as you lower your knees, and they're contracting to pull the hips back into the middle. Now you can add a little bit of head rotation. You can turn your head in the opposite direction to your legs. Keeping the chin nodded in, and using the breath in to lower, out with a lift. If you need to bring your feet back down, you're just going to do a couple more on each side. This has been all about nourishing our spine today. Getting lots of freedom through the back. And when you have finished your last one on each side, you can just simply hug in the knees. So a little bit more core awareness. Once you've had a little release and gently draw the knees in, just to stretch out your lower back a little. We're going to bring both knees back above the hips and hip distance apart. So we have got that gap between our knees this time. All we're going to do is breathe in, bring the knees to the chest, and then you're going to breathe out and take the knees just beyond the hips. Now, our focus is our lower back. Gently press it to the floor here, and as you push your legs away, you're trying to keep that contact between your lower back and your mat. If your backs lift, these muscles have become longer and aren't as engaged as they should be, and the muscles in the back have contracted, so you're using the back muscles to hold here. So think about what's happening. Press the lower back gently down. And you can challenge yourself by taking the legs a little bit further and still keeping that contact between the back and the mat. You're going to breathe out to push away and a breath into centre. And if it feels too much with both legs, feel free just to work with one leg at a time. Try and keep the chin tucked in and avoid the shoulders rounded. Just a couple more here. So hopefully feeling that bite into the belly. Now we're going to bring both feet down gently. Just find your neutral position again. Just let your hips have a little rock from side to side. Settle midway, and we're just going to slide the heels now. So we're going to come back to our fingers on our hip bones and focus on keeping the pelvis level. Your right heel just slides away along the floor. It hovers. And then you're going to breathe out and bring it back into the centre. Again, we're looking for everything else to stay still. Your bottoms, glue tapped, super glued to the ground, whichever you feel works for you. And you're trying to resist the hips rocking as you extend the leg away. Now when you bring your foot in, you're going to rest it on an eggshell. So when you bring your right foot to centre, it's rested on an eggshell, so you're not pushing your right foot into the floor as you extend your left leg. And that in itself should just make the exercise feel completely different. Try and breathe in through the nose to extend, keeping the opposite foot light, and breathing out to come back into the middle. Again, you're not pressing your back into the floor here, you're in neutral spine, because we've got one foot on the floor and not got both feet lifted. Breathe in through the nose. Hold on the extension. Now breathe out through the mouth. Again, inhale to extend. Pause on the extension. Exhale, draw the abdominals in. Make the transition seamless. There's no rock. And again, we're going to work with two more on each side. So you can just bring your focus back to your ribs and hips. Nice strong connection between the ribs and hips. We're trying to make sure the distance between your ribs and hips doesn't change as you extend your leg. One more each leg. Gently back down, and then your last one here. And then when you're ready, you can hug in your knees. Take a nice little release through your lower back. Gently draw the knees down towards the ribs. You can take your knees a little wider. And then when you're ready, tuck in your chin and take a roll up slowly. We're going to take a roll over, coming back into our box position. That has gone so quickly today. I'll try not to do an extra hour. Hands under your shoulders and knees under your hips. And then just let's take that nice big cat stretch. And then let your tummy come down, let your chest come forward, so you're stretching the abdominals here. Draw the belly up, tuck in the chin. And then reverse. One more time. So you remember how we came down to the floor? No? Well, we're going to get back up that way. You're going to tuck under your toes, bend your knees, push your hips back and straighten your legs. Soften the knees when you're ready and walk your hands back without wobbling through the hips. Let your feet come onto the floor, knees can have a deep bend. Chin tucks in as your head hangs. And then you're going to slowly roll back up through your spine. Tuck under the tailbone as soon as you can. And then as you roll through your mid-back to your upper back, both shoulders just gently roll back and down. And as we come into our set position, just a nice big release through the shoulders. Taking a big breath in as they lift and out to release. Once more. And then give them a shrug. Just pull them both up and let them drop. And again, lift and let them go. Once more. And release. Give yourselves a clap, ladies and gents. Well worked. Now she decided to wake up. Not getting the down dog, just the up dog today.